The next game I would like to show you is game number 4 of this book that is played against this Sherwin. I thought it was the same game shown in the 60 memorable games, or the 60 games to remember in Italian, and he said it is not. So that's why I want to show it to you. So Fischer was white, James T. Sherwin was black. This is the US Championship in New York 1957-58. Sicilian defense, like always. So we have E4, the best by test, C5, the other best by test probably, Knight F3, D6, D4, C takes D4, Knight takes D4, and now Knight F6, Knight C3, A6. This is the Najdorf variation. Bishop C4, E6, Castle, B5, Bishop B3, and B4. This seems too much, in my opinion, a little of a stretch. So it seems that in the 1950s they were playing this kind of retreat. Knight B1 with the idea Knight D2, Knight C4. And so this is what Fischer played in this game, Knight B1. So next is Bishop D7, and here it says, in his fourth book Fischer said he didn't believe Soviet analysis, but claimed white had enough compensation after Knight takes E4. Knight takes E4, sorry. Okay, so instead of Bishop D7 he said the Soviet analysis is not correct, because after this there is this move, tack and tack, Bishop B7, and here the reason he said that he doesn't think there is compensation is because he continued with Bishop A4, Knight D7, Bishop C6, Bishop takes C6, Knight takes C6, Queen B6, Queen takes E4, and D5. This is the reason that it seems the Soviets, for him, suggested that Knight D2 was better at the 12th move, but it seems there was not enough test. So let's go back a little and see what the Soviet suggested as improvement, because here Fischer says this line is better for black, not for white, so there is no compensation for white in following this one. And that's important because Fischer obviously had to fight the Soviets and their theoretical preparation. So let's go back. So this is the position where he played Knight B1, okay, and the Soviets gave this line saying Knight takes E4 in reality gives compensation to white, but Fischer analyzed it, and after Queen F3, Bishop B7, Bishop A4, Knight D7, he shows a line where the bishop goes here, that at the end of the line white doesn't have any compensation. Hence the Soviet, that probably were reading or saying or paying attention to whatever Fischer said, say yes, but this move is better. So I obviously don't know, because I don't know the theory of the Najdorf, but the Najdorf has clearly been a big battle for theory, because it's where you make points, right? So I don't know why they said that. And of course, the line is not knight d2, because obviously what happens of this, no? What do you play now? You play this, okay, great. But then, how does it continue from here? Because if you continue like this, check, and if a queen take, you lose this, right? So here, clearly, these Najdorf lines are very, very sharp. And I don't know, I honestly don't know what is the answer. Maybe today they should make a book one day, that I think it would be very nice, with the evolution of a Najdorf. Instead of trying to teach us the Najdorf and memorize 25 moves, why they don't show the evolution, for example, from the 1950s or 1940s to 2000, how the Najdorf changed and why it changed. In this sense, if I can tell you, I think Sokolov, in his books on the middle game, he showed that, because he shows some lines, how they change year after year and why. So this, in my opinion, is very interesting for us club players, because we are not aware of all these changes and why. Okay, now let me return back to the game. Okay, so we were around this point, black just played b4, and white plays knight b1. By the way, as mentioned before, this is a replica, a reproduction of these Dubrovnik chess pieces that Fischer loved very much, and on which he played and analyzed a lot. Bishop d7, bishop e3, and now knight c6. So to take the pawn now, he says, is very, very dangerous, because after you take there is queen f3, d5, and c4. So very interesting situation. But honestly, he says taking the pawn is too dangerous, but why it's too dangerous? Because these three moves don't tell us much, right? So maybe we should be able to see a game that someone took the pawn and what happened to them, right? That could be kind of interesting. And maybe I will find a game and put a little annotation here. Okay, game. So we can find a game to show what happens. Because, why do I tell you that? Because today, with computers, some things that we think were wrong, well, they have been rehabilitated. Okay? So, after bishop e3, knight c6, f3, at this point you have to defend, and bishop e7, it seems a mistake. It seems the best way to equalize is knight a5. So, taking away the bishop pair to white. As you can see, it seems that probably Fischer was aware of this. Why? Because he immediately plays this, c3. Can you imagine? Because now he has, in fact, a way to escape if black wants to take his bishop. So let's see what happens, okay? B takes c3, knight takes c6, and there is bishop takes c6. This is kind of interesting, because it says black loses two queens in 3 moves after c takes b2, knight takes d8, b takes a1, queen again, and now there is bishop d4. Okay? So after queen takes d4, queen takes d4, and rook takes d8, here we have an idea of the material. We have 5, 8, 11, 12 against 11. And you say, well, it seems that white didn't really gain much material, but since we are in a middle game, a queen can be kind of annoying. But yes, as material, we see a 10 against 5, 8, 11, 12. So black seems to have an advantage. And so this line once more should be checked with a computer, or you should try, and this is very interesting, try to play it against a computer with both sides. I'm sure whoever wants to become a grandmaster today and see these games and see this position, he must play them over the board in order to understand the position deeply. Now let me go back. Okay, this was the position. We saw that black took back, and we saw the line that Soltis gave, but the line Soltis gave is honestly not long enough to show for real that black will lose. Okay, and so once more, I think it would be important if a book like this one would be given to someone to read before being published, because they should ask a question, no? And maybe, obviously, if they are paid to read the book, and like I show you, to see if the variation with c takes b2 is actually worth it to play it, they would check it with a computer, and they would see if it's true or not. Because here I'm still finding some lines by Soltis that to me don't seem 100% correct, or at least that at club player level I'm not able to understand. So since the book is definitely aimed at club players, not at grandmasters, because the 99% of people are club players that pay for books, maybe they should be aimed to give us explanation that makes sense, right? Okay, after b takes e6, knight takes e3, castle, rook c1, and queen b8. And here it says, overlooking or underestimating white's combination. Better was bishop b7, so he should have played this. Okay, so as you can see, there is a reason here, there is a reason. Most time that you see grandmaster games, you see immediately that they don't let today pieces hanging. They always have pieces defending each other, because maybe they have been taught by computers to do so. But let's see what is the thing, the line here. After bishop b7, white would continue with queen d3, rook c8, rook f d1. And the idea is knight a4, b6, which gives white a slight advantage. Okay, let me return back. So I think we were in this position, and black played queen b8. Okay, so let's see what happens now. If you were white, what would you play in this position? So pause the video and try to find white's next move. Boom, knight d5. Here it seems that e takes d5 wasn't the best. Black should have tried to play this one and keep the extra pawn after this line. E takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, e takes d5, b3, because obviously white wants to keep the queenside majority and he thinks that this 2 will fall, and queen b5. But it seems he didn't trust the position after, obviously, queen d2. You see that he's starting to double up. Rook f e8, rook f d1, and bishop f6. So this is the analysis made by Soltis. It's like 5 moves long, but honestly, if you were black, would you really like to have 2 isolated queen pawns in the middle of the board? No. Come on. I don't think it's a great idea. Also, if of course there is an advantage here, because he cannot play this, maybe because of this. So maybe the position needs to be analyzed a couple of moves more. I don't know. Was black able to visualize more than 5 moves? I don't know. Okay, let's return to the game. So we were in this position in which white played knight d5. So our friend and author Soltis says bishop takes d5 should have been the move to play, but black played e takes d5. Okay. Notice that there is also a line on knight takes d5, but obviously I don't want to make the video too long, because I know that today with ADHD people cannot really follow a 50 minutes long video. Okay, so I will just move forward. Rook takes e6, d takes e4, f takes e4. So here he says that you cannot really play this move because white would play rook takes f7. So that's kind of interesting. So he played queen b5, but okay, this I want to see it, honestly. I want to see it, because these analyses are all a little strange to me. So knight takes e4, rook takes f7, and rook takes f7, queen d5 is a mistake because is refuted by knight g5. Okay, and after bishop takes g5, there is queen a7 check, king h1, rook f8, and I think I don't really see how is that. Yeah, because it cannot take, right? He says. But for example, what happens if he plays this? Well, because there is this probably, I don't know. Maybe. That's just curious, okay? Just curious. Sorry. Okay, yes, now it makes sense. Okay, so now let's go back and see what could have white played, okay? Let's see for a second. Okay, so we are in this position, and black avoided to play knight takes e4 because it seems there is a refutation. So let's see what is the refutation of knight takes e4, okay? So rook takes f7, rook takes f7, but now instead of queen d5, it should play bishop takes f7 right away, because after this there is queen d5 check, and then I don't know, you go back and he plays this. So at this point, yes, white has a big advantage, he says. What is the big advantage? With a big edge. Well, this is isolated, this is isolated, but of course, what happens after this? I don't know. As you can see, there are some things to be thought about, and let's see. So, in any case, I think what this is teaching you, because this is the reality, that you need to be able to calculate at least 4 moves ahead. Okay? You need 4 moves ahead. And let me put back the position. Okay, so we are back in the position, if I put everything right, and instead of knight takes e4, black played queen b5, attacking this rook. Rook b6, because it's protected by the bishop, queen e5, and bishop d4. Boom. And now queen g5. So why you cannot play queen takes e4? Think about for a second, but obviously the answer is rook e1, okay? Because behind you have a bishop, and so you cannot really escape and think that everything will be happy ever after. So queen g5. Let's go to the next move. Next move, Fischer played a mistake. And here it said, Fischer has 2 flaws, Larry Evans wrote in 1963. Overconfidence, which causes him sometimes to forget that his opponents are also capable of finding good moves, and impetuosity in winning positions. So what happened is that he played queen f3, and obviously allows a maneuver that equalizes. What should have been played? That's the point, right? You want to know what has been played. Let's see if you are better than Fischer, right? Try to pause the video and find out which move. I will show it to you after. So the move that Fischer should have found was rook b7. Why? Because after knight takes e4, that keeps them in connection, right? Rook e1, it cost material to black. And here is the line that he gives. d5, obviously to avoid to remove it so you lose it, but there is rook takes e7, queen takes e7, bishop takes d5, and now you have a big problem, right? So that's it. And there is also another line that he gives, but okay, I think he has proved the point that unfortunately the pawn e4 was kind of untouchable, and it was better to go with a rook on the 7th rank, thing that probably Fischer knew, because Fischer was probably just already master level, and so he knew the importance of a rook on f7. Let me put back the position as it was. Okay, so this is the position, and instead of rook b7, Fischer played queen f3. Queen f3 is not right because black played knight d7, and unfortunately the problem is that if now he plays bishop takes f7, black just go on the side, king h8, and when he plays rook b7 because he thinks that he's getting both of them, he doesn't get both of them because the other plays knight e5, forking the bishop f7, the knight f3, and keeping the contact between them, so it's not gonna work, it seems. Okay, so that is fine for black. That is what Soltis says. If it's true, up to you guys. So after knight d7, rook b7, knight e5, so we see it in any case, queen e2, bishop f6. And now black threatens to play knight f3, a discovery check, because then he goes to take this bishop on d4, right? But finally Fischer gets it back and he plays king h1 to avoid the discovery check. Black continues with a5, bishop d5, now this is the target, rook c8, obviously it took away immediately. Okay, so let's see what happens. Bishop c3, in preventing black from going in enemy territory, especially here or in the last rank. That is a problem, right? Because now you have a back rank possible checkmate. So you must always be aware of what's going on. a4, this a4 it's great because if you play the a3, it's trying to eliminate the defense there, right? Let's see how it continues. Rook a7, very good. Knight g4. And look here it seems that they knew how much Fischer fought for the next move. And let me show you, because I believe it's important. So here the comment says that Fischer took only 1 minute or less to reject this move. Why did he reject that move? Let me show you the line. Knight takes f6, rook takes a4, knight takes d5, e takes d5, queen takes d5, and now there is what? And that's it. This is the reason why he rejected. Because on this move it seems there is rook c e8. Interesting. Okay, so that's why I rejected. Let's return back to the position and see what happened in the game. Guys, I hope you don't mind, but in some cases it's important to show this line because Soltis show them in the book, and what means is that in that moment, if you were with white player, you had to consider that exchange. Okay? Okay, this was the position, and so instead of playing bishop takes f6, Fischer played rook takes a4. How does it continue? With bishop takes e3, b takes c3, and now black makes a mistake with rook takes c3. Why is this a mistake? Because of the next move by white. What is the next move by white? You need to find it out. You have obviously to pause the video, take your time, take 10 minutes, because the point here is the exercise, the analysis. You must not only make one move and say, haha, I played the same move Fischer played. No, you must prove it. If you don't prove it, then it's not worth it. Okay? So let's see how it continued. Rook takes f7 with 2 exclamation points. Isn't rook takes f7, rook a8 kind of obvious? Yes, but the wise combination is much deeper. He saw that 30 queen d5, which ends discover check and threatens. Okay, so let's see what happens, what he says. Let's see what is the move that he says. So instead of rook takes f7, what is doing is queen takes d5. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, bye. Tak, tak. So now you cannot give a check here, but boom! Queen f1, queen f7, and now rook a8, king e7, boom, and obviously here white wins. So queen takes d5 is not working. That's kind of interesting. So let's go back a second and see the other alternatives, okay? Because at move 30 for black there are practically A, B, C, D. There are four possible variations that one should calculate, okay? Okay, so this is the position in which after rook takes f7, black played rook c1, okay, and rook c1 is not the right move, but let's see what is the right move, right? After rook c1, how do you refute it? Or even better, after, for example, rook c1 not working, he says instead of rook c1 he should play h5. So watch this. This is the move that black should have played. Wow, because now it doesn't work anymore, right? Seems to win. Okay, let's see why, because it's a little unclear here what he wants to do. Okay, just a second. Okay, so this was the position, rook takes f7, and he played rook c1. Instead, h5 is the best because he plays rook f1, discovery check, but at this point he goes here. And when you play this, he plays this, and then there is this, right? You return back, but it doesn't work because of this. Can you imagine? This was what you had to calculate, and it's not much, it's still 4 moves. I continue to find this like 4 moves variation long in many games, also in Bronstein games, they actually work, okay? So let's see another line. The position was, I think, this, okay? He played h5 instead of rook c1. Let's see if he plays queen b2, okay? Again, this move, queen takes c3, rook takes f7, bishop takes f7, queen f4, bishop g8, and now obviously you don't take, you go here, because at this point the game is over, because there are 2 possibilities, give checkmate here, give checkmate here. It's a problem, it's a problem. So let's see, to return back a second and see what happens, right? So tac, 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 if I remember well, yes. So we have h5 instead of rook c1, and let's say that white plays queen f1. Once more this, rook c1, bishop g8, king h6, bishop c4, and knight e3. Ends up the game. As you can see, there are really a lot of interesting lines that Salty analyze. For example, this is good not because it takes this, but because this is a checkmate. Because it cannot take since there is this, right? So there are a lot of lines that probably the two players had to actually watch, and I think probably Fischer actually calculated them. Otherwise you end up in a draw instead of a win. Okay, so guys, there is one last line that we should see because maybe there is a draw possibility. Let's see. C3, tac, where it was, here, right? Yes, and this was here. Okay, so let's see. After h5 he plays rook f3, boom, king h7, rook takes c3, and black passes up v4, queen e5, or queen d2, and black wins. Why he wins? Because if you take rook f1, checkmate, otherwise what do you do? But also rook queen e5, checkmate, or I take this. I don't know, it seems the situation is kind of interesting, huh? Very interesting. Well, there are a lot of beautiful lines. Here it says, nevertheless, there is a white win, even though he must play a queen and pawn endgame after. And here it gives another line again. Okay, I will not show this last line because I would like to return back to the position and see what actually happened, okay? Sorry guys, I'm kind of curious to see how this game ended up, and I think I got the position right. So h5 was a very interesting move. Instead he played rook c1, and after rook c1 obviously you have to play a winning move. Can you pause the video and find the winning move? The winning move is queen f1, okay? Not rook f1. Rook f1 is not the winning move, okay? So queen f1, let's see what happens. h5, as you can see now, that move is not winning anymore for black. It's not giving black any chances. Why? Let's see why. Queen takes c1. Oh wow, boom, can you see it? Oh my god, if now he takes rook f1, check, and he takes back, that's beautiful. So he plays queen h4, threatening the checkmate here, but at this point it's over. Tac, tac, h3, queen g3, h take g4, h4, and bishop e6, and white resign. I hope you enjoyed this game, and we will see more in the next one. Thank you very much. Yeah, they understand you. I think they want to say something to you too.